Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, great most on the rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of sharing truth. Saw this article on the BBC, and it, just had me in mind of the, famine of the word, and how, one of the avenues by which, they might try and demonize brothers, because they have, MI5, I think it was a former, oh no, the head of MI, current head of MI5, that says Russia on mission to cause mayhem on UK streets, warns MI5. So I said Russia's intelligence agency has been on a mission to generate sustained mayhem on British and European streets, the head of MI5 has said. Giving his annual update on security threats faced by the UK, Ken McCallum said GRU agents had carried out arson, sabotage, and more dangerous actions conducted with increasing recklessness in Britain after the UK backed Ukraine in its war with Russia. So yeah, you basically have Russia, the finger being pointed at Russia for kind of having influence over, people being roused up. Because I think some people in the comments talking about Brexit being influenced. And yeah, it's like with all these different countries, they have intelligence agencies, and they're all, keeping an eye and an ear out on what other nations are doing. And also trying to make them take favorable actions, as far as for what, they want to accomplish, what they want to achieve. So with Russia, they're saying they're trying to keep that state of chaos. And the thing with that is that's an angle to then come at it as foreign intervention or like treason. So it can be just not just a thing of, oh, we need to quell this. It's like it makes it a bigger deal, bigger issue, which then justifies a greater level of action. It says MI5 had also responded to 20 plots backed by Iran since 2022. He said, although he added the majority of its work still mostly involved Islamic extremism followed by extreme right-hand terrorism, right-wing terrorism. And yeah, that's like the big one. Domestic terrorism is what they refer to it as over here. With those, it's basically picked up, and the riots in like August have put that at the forefront to make it like if you say certain things online, then you get put underneath that umbrella. And then post certain things online, do certain things online, you're getting thrown in jail. And this could just be another way they're saying, okay, you know what, these guys are provocateurs, these guys are just working with enemy nations to try and undermine, we're gonna come against them. And then, for what they're doing, it's whatever, that's gonna happen regardless. But then it's something where that could cut, could see that coming, to pass laws that can then just be used, for brothers. Like, okay, you say certain things, and with I can't remember which country it was. I think it was the UK, where it's like, saying certain things from the Bible became an issue. And there'll come a point in time where that's gonna be made plainly clear, and we know from the prophecy, famine of the word, that's gonna come to pass. But it just looks like another kind of way of putting it in people's minds. One, because a lot of really with C19, with the pandemic, that had people just like engage in a way where it's like, you say certain things, you do certain things. If you say like, yeah, why we got to wear masks? People are thinking, oh, he's one of those anti-maskers, and then they can they can square you off in a box, and that's something that's been pushed with the online thing as well, where it's like you say certain things, they'll say, oh, that's woke. You say certain things, oh, he's he's alt right, he's they'll basically be able to just categorize people and these, it makes people easier to control. And the thing with it is it's gonna scale up to the point where there's gonna need to be a what do you call it, laws passed, government intervention. That's how it looks like with whenever they talk about these things. That's always where it goes to. So this is what in the wide ranging speech he said young people were increasingly being drawn into online extremism, with 13% of those investigated for involvement aged under 18. A total of 43 late stage plots involving firearms and explosives to commit mass murder in the UK had been foiled since 2017. The number of state threat investigations by MI5 have increased by 48%. Counter-T work remains split between 75% Islamic, 25% right wing. So that's the thing is like, because this is why I was thinking this is kind of just laying out the groundwork for, maybe different laws to be passed, or kind of different, tact to be taken when they say, okay, it's foreign interference, because that's what they did it was like in the US with the with Trump. What the hell was it called? The Mueller investigation and whatnot, Mueller. That was all about that. And with, the presidential elections in the US, it's come up as a point. And it's something, the thing is something that has been going on for the longest anyway. That was, the US wrote the book on how to utilize all that shit. They're basically the ones that established that kind of, having foreign intervention, getting involved in their political systems to then make them, favorable with the US. There's countless countries they did that shit in. But obviously now it's basically being used to be like, okay, look, you're being made to think X, Y, Z by, external forces. But then, we'll see what I think, because the thing is it's all online is where this whole discussion comes from. All these things is basically talking about, going through online. So further laws, especially with the UK, further laws towards that wouldn't be a surprise. So I said there's a dizzying range of beliefs and ideologies MI5 had to deal with. He told the briefing MI5's Counter-T Operations Center. The first 20 years of my career here were crammed full of T threats. We now face those alongside state-backed assassination and sabotage plots against the backdrop of a major European land war, he said. And yeah, it's prepping everyone as well for, Russia being the enemy, basically, which that's been, been built up. And it's also for war, because the same thing in like Sweden, Norway, all the countries that are closer to Russia, Poland as well, they're basically looking at as it could happen any day, and those countries will have the military scaling up. Sweden has drafts, and that's something that's been mentioned in the UK, mentioned in the US, and it'll come back, because just like now, where it's been 2 years plus. Actually, when was it what? Not February. Okay, it's been 2 years plus anyway, with Russia, Ukraine. It's been 2 years plus with Russia, Ukraine. How was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so Putin's basically going through a variety of methods to rejuvenate troops, to get people back in there. Because why? You're at war for a while. People, your standing army starts losing numbers, then you're like, yo, if we don't maintain a certain level, we're not going to be able to keep functional operations. Or be like, okay, we need to get people through training so they're ready for when we're at risk of falling below those numbers. And that's how it's going to be as well. Because as the conflicts kind of drag on, that's the thing, is people remember when the Lebanon strikes happened, when they did like the pager things, they did the missile strike, did whatever, And they said like, damn, how's how is it that the state of Israel can do this in like a day, and then Russia hasn't been able to do X, Y, Z in all their time. But then it's a different kind of warfare, because just like with the what do you call it, the U.S. Army going into the Middle East, where it's like they if they were to stand on a flatland and face one another, the U.S. Army is just gonna annihilate them. They're just gonna do some airstrikes, fire some rockets, fire some whatever, and then a few snipers, a few ground troop units to mow through. They're getting absolutely annihilated. But then it was with IEDs and whatnot, they'll blend in among civilians. There was a different dynamic to it. But then with that European ground war with Ukraine, that's more of a meat grinder, because both sides have military technology to where it's that's some of the highest grade. It's peak, and that's something that's been spoken about, and especially for NATO allies, getting them in the mindset of being like, okay, this is gonna go down, and then as that approaches, because what World War III's been the talk of the town. For Europe, really, the focus is Russia, because they're right there. Was there something else? Yeah, there was a thingy as well. Alright, say and okay, yeah. So that's talking about online. So it says extreme right-wing tea in particular skews heavily towards young people, driven by propaganda that shows a canny understanding of online culture, he said. Responding to questions from reporters, he reiterated concerns about the role of the internet being the biggest factor driving the trend, and described how easily youngsters could access material from their bedrooms. And yeah, this is why I'm thinking it's like, laws being passed towards online will either be, revealing your identity, those things which people have pushback against. I can see that shit happening, easily, especially in the UK, where now, you make tweets, you're getting headlocked, choke slammed, pedigreed into a cell by police, for making posts on Facebook and Twitter. So yeah, that's more just what kind of came to mind. It's just like another angle for it. They'll say, okay, well, you're being manipulated by an outside state, but it's more of it's more of the same, where it's showing it's ramping up, and it's really kind of bleeding into the the regular people, uh, to where now they're aware of these things, they're engaging. First Thessalonians 5:1 says, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." And yeah, with what does it say? Thinking about that peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes as a surprise. Comes as a surprise, because why? People are engaging with a whole kind of lifestyle where these are alien things that happen elsewhere in the world. But then when it hits locally, that's when it becomes a reality. And for people in Europe, Ukraine was part of that. But it's going to be worse. And really, it's that virgin daughter, that untouched daughter, America. That's the key spot. That's where it's, when it touches, it makes landfall there. You have now with, these hurricanes coming through, these floods and whatnot. Those are, natural disasters where, even though people are prepped to a degree, it's still, people being caught the fuck out there, all kinds of through. And that's a form of hell. But you're gonna have that combined with, you know, uh, your own government putting restrictions upon what you can do. Other, regular people also trying to, fuck with you. All kinds of hardships coming together, and then the ultimate test, that micro C hip, that marker MOTB. Says, "But ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should take you as a thief. Ye are all children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of night nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober." And yeah, that's what we're watching for. We'll see these things happening. Like even that that mayor in in Mexico getting his head fucking getting absolutely destroyed. Like what, 6 days after coming into the job, like it's like, damn, you see those things, it's not all signs of the times. Because yeah, it's like Mexico's been one of those places where it's like death has been running rampant. But then why? It's because we're in that time, man, where all kinds of madness is just going to be let loose. All the tensions are being built up. Because anything that goes on in like Mexico that bleeds into the whole what do you call it? The what's it called? The immigrant narrative of like, oh, they're gonna come into our country and then start, taking people out XYZ. And that feeds into the fear, feeds into the mindset people have. To where when, that MOTB comes out, the terrors are gonna be at their height. The pressure is gonna be at their height, and people are gonna run to it, especially among especially Jake women, man. Revelation 12:12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that ye have but a short time." Yeah. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Devil's coming down with great wrath. That's the thing is the level of force, all these things, being spoken about, especially with passing of the laws. That's something that people don't think will come to pass. A lot of things have been established basically through the whole ride through to what the hell was it called? The whole ride through to the pandemic, C-19. The way that laws were able to be passed in that, moment of crisis, that shows as soon as the heat hits, everything can switch up. And that draconian system isn't even far away. That's not even a difficulty. Because it's already been done. You leave your house, you're getting fined. And it's like, yo, 300 quid. You've been out of your house too long. That's what was going down, but people forget now because why? They can go, you can go Portugal, then go to south of France, and they can lounge somewhere on a beach and be like, yeah. So they've forgotten. What is it? Isaiah 29:15. It says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord Yahweh, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us?" And yeah, that's a big aspect of how and why these things are moving as they are. They're in the dark by and large. The thing is now a lot of those things that are in the dark are being exposed. You have it. It's really been from like what, 2018, 2019, like the entertainment world has kind of been slowly exposed for more and more just in the mainstream. A lot of these things came out like from the 80s, 90s, like from way back. People were saying things, but because of how media was controlled, it wasn't really taken. But that for that world has been revealed. How much more so for up in the actual elites, the banking elites at the top, what kind of madness they get down with, all kinds of sacrifices, all kinds of wickedness. And then all that darkness being done, these plans, these schemes, for us, like I said, we're not in the dark. But for people in the world, it's going to be a shock. It's going to be a complete shock, and a terror onto them. It says, what? Surely your turning things upside down shall be esteemed as potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed of him that framed it, say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? And yeah, flipping everything on his head is only going to run so far. And that's really what he's trying to establish in the long term. And that's why, people don't people are looking at, life as it is now, in this world now, as like that's kind of like the final, the end point. But then they'll realize that it's something what they're looking to push forward and establish is going to be even more wild, even more out there, even more insane. And when those things hit, they're gonna break, man. And it's like, 2nd Ezra 16 and 17, it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? You're gonna need deliverance, man. You're gonna require aid on of your own volition. You ain't gonna be able to do a damn thing. In the beginning of sorrows, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and a power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And yeah, these things, all these terrors coming, you're kind of seeing it being outlined, like I said. It's like the particular angle of, Russian interference. That's just one layer to it. The way I'm kind of looking at it is like, okay, so they're gonna, that's what they've, set up and established, but it's all, the scope's gonna be broadened regardless. Because it's gonna go to, limitation, what you can say, and then laws being passed. Those draconian laws are where it's gonna be at, and then that's gonna, enact them, come through with them further terrors. But we watch and we wait and we see, man. Because we know through prophecy, you're gonna have to have the MOTB, time of Jacob's trouble. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.